want to make sure I don't accidentally like say something.
No, you're good. You're good.
This is Harbor.
You're good.
Now, if that was the case, we'd all be like making gestures and noises and stuff.
Harbor Town is an all-new series from Miniature Building Authority, the leader in tabletop gaming scenery. Unique, flexible, and playable, Harbor Town will take your games to a new destination.
I'm just making sure that I'm. Yeah, there it goes. But just making sure, because I was making sure the hosting was working. I always can't remember who I have on what order or whatnot.
I still don't even know how that shit works. Like, Twitch. Shane sat me down for 2 hours to teach me how to use the internet.
I think you have a pretty good idea of how to use that already.
I know how to use the internet. Like, I know how to get on there and do all the basic things, but like, my technical level for the internet is so inferior.
I got one thing to say: Google and YouTube. I YouTube so much stuff, and it's like,
yeah, you can.
Let's go find out how to do this. Yeah.
Yeah, you can find out anything on Google and YouTube. That's the world. All the world knowledge is there.
Well, that's the only way. Like, especially most people my age, the only way we know how to function. It's like, how the hell do I boil water? All right, cool.
Yeah, right.
It must be like the old. There's like some things that came into being, and before then you don't understand how the world actually existed, and it's like.
And you might know, and you forget how it was before that existed. Because, like, I was around before cell phones, you know, and it's
I was around before.
And we
didn't have color television when I grew up. We didn't have cassette tape, and
Well, and being around also before streaming music or streaming video.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the days of.
Oh yeah.
You actually had to schedule your things on TV because you had to watch it then because that was the time you could get it.
Yeah. Or the classic one, you had to get up off of the couch to change the channel,
or just going off air. I always thought that was fun. You know, it's like where TV just shut down midnight. No more programming.
Hey, Bree, if Shane wants to come on, he's welcome. You send him a text and see if he wants to come on. He's more than welcome. If he has nothing going on tonight.
And then you would have succeeded with something that I'm not succeeding. That would be awesome. You tried to get him on Legends and Lore Show since we started.
The fact that you can get Shane on anything, like the fact that I can never schedule time with Shane, it's because I know his cell phone number, and sometimes I'll just call him and be like, "Hey Shane, I know you're extremely busy." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm at like a thing for like one of my 700 kids. What's up?" And I'm like, I just want to ask you a handful of questions. And he's like, I have a business time for those. I'm like, that's cool. So my questions are.
Yeah, there you go.
He's amazing. But he's one of these Renaissance people. Alex Kammer is another one from the gaming industry that just seems to be able to do anything and everything at the same time.
Yeah, I'm not one of those guys.
Nope.
Now, see, I've got it in the right one. I'm sorry, I'm just speaking out loud here.
Cool. Yeah, it's getting.
Also, I'm eating spaghetti, so if my head keeps disappearing, that's because I don't want to.
It's all good.
In front of your faces.
Mark, am I breathing heavy like you said last time?
No, actually, you're doing much better at it this time.
Oh, thanks.
I'm slightly disappointed then.
Wait, what I'm hearing is Marco loves heavy breathing, and we should all get really close to our mics.
Yep.
So Jay couldn't control himself.
Oh, hey, guess what? They can hear us, by the way.
Yeah, I know that. It's okay. It's okay.
Cool. Yep.
All right, I'll make sure that. Okay, well that's cool. All right, I was still being PC. I didn't say anything wrong.
No, we're good. We're good. This is all awesome. It's
talking about spaghetti, deep breathing, and harassing our.
Yeah, that's all acceptable. Adam was just texting me and he was letting me know he's packing right now, so he's getting ready. So he's going to watch the show.
Great.
And so he sent me a message. You know I can hear you, right? I was like, oh.
Yes, it is, Frank. It's the Prelude.
Yep.
Well, our mod's on too. Brian's on, which is good.
Well, the thing is I'm still hosting
Wow.
Gargamon. I'm not posting.
You want to click on the Lord Gazumba logo in the upper left-hand corner.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, Twitch is it's screwed now. It starts with the latest video or something else rather than just showing that it's not online.
yeah, it goes to the last video.
Really?
You want to go back and forth.
Yeah.
It's another Twitch thing.
Yep, fooled me several times thinking that is not.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this game running on Friday before my game? Like, am I like, and I'm like thinking like, oh my god, it's gonna run through my game, and I'm like, oh wait, no, this is a replay.
Yep.
Previous.
It happens.
There we go.
Technology is not my friend.
This is where I should say something. I see, man. If I knew he could have heard me and I didn't know he was listening, like I wouldn't be anything if it wasn't for Adam taking care of all of my production and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, now was the time to advertise it.
Yeah, I could have totally been like singing his praises and kissing up and doing it like on the slides.
Yeah.
Let me get Discord off.
Emails and stuff to get back to and great messages and stuff. So I
Always forget to turn stuff off.
Okay.
Look at that one. Oh, look at that. Perfect timing. You know, it's streaming. You gotta go through 1,000 things. So just to make sure you're good to go. Bum, 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 bum. Okay. All right, here we go. We'll crank it in. We got, wow. I know there's a lot of people looking forward to this. So good deal. Good evening, everyone. Hello.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
We're on.
Hi.
We're on after, and everyone heard all of our chat, so that was cool.
Yep.
I'm
It's
Jay.
like looking behind the screen.
Definitely, though, that adds to our charm. Like I said, we're not very polished in our productions that much in our games on Thursday nights, but kind of adds to the charm we have. I'm Jay, aka Lord Gazumba. I got a lot of great special guests tonight, and we're all super stoked and excited about what we're going to be doing next Saturday night. So I'll go around the table real quick from my show and one of my old friends, best friends, going back to 1983. I got DM Marco, who runs his Ohio group every other Monday night, and is adding a new game in where they're going to be running some Shieldlanders, which hopefully they won't get slaughtered like normal Shieldlanders, which is kidding. And I got Will from Return of the Bandit Kingdoms and Wicked Studios LLC, and Will's going to be starting us off. I got Anna Meyer again, and Anna, we try and get Anna on as much as we can because look kind of audiences Anna brings in. And
you bribe me so often, so I can't. I have to come.
And Anna is playing in my game, and I can't wait to talk about that. And I have Bree, known as NPC Bree. Would you rather prefer Bree or NPC Bree? Bree?
Just call me Bree. It's fine.
Bree?
Her Royal Highness Bree.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
And Bree has started DMing on the Greyhawk channel and has a fantastic druidic nature-based campaign game. And I'm trying to remember the Old Faith. Is it called?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Excellent. And that is on Fridays.
Fridays
at 5 p.m.
Eastern. Yes.
Whew! Okay. And Bree is going to be DMing the third part of our mega stream on the Greyhawk channel. So thanks all. Wow, we already have cranked up a large audience tonight, and I really appreciate it, everyone.
Well, and you also forgot you got Tim and John on too.
Oh my gosh, you guys made it! Holy shit!
Just shit-eating grit at you, like
that is so. John, so now how's it going to be a star online? Hey, John. I am so glad you guys made it on time. That is so fantastic. So let me introduce a father and son team. And I got to say, a lot of my inspiration for DMing comes from these two gentlemen. Everyone knows Tim. Tim is a favorite of Naz and a favorite of Rox and a favorite of a lot of our normal viewers. And played for the first time in 18 months on Thursday night. But Tim has been a hardcore DMer as long as I have, going way back in the days. And his father, John, who was DM for me and Tim a couple times way back in like what, 81, 82, 83.
I don't know. I was in third grade.
Well, for you in third grade, but for you and me combined, it was like we were probably freshmen in high school. And John is playing as well on coming back and playing a key character in our campaign coming up that he's played a long time, and we're going to talk about that. So thank you, everyone. Wow, we got a nice crew. Please, I'm going to ask this. I'm going to if you can just chat a little bit. I need to get more VIP badges. I'm out of them. I need 15 people chatting at once. So if anyone can help assist with that at one point, that would be great. So we can get a little more as far as the VIP badges go. But thanks a lot. And what was that? Oh gosh, something fell off my printer. My best of the dragon fell off the printer. It slid off, so I was wondering what the heck that noise was. Okay, so why don't we start with everyone talking about themselves a little bit, what their plans are, what their channel is, and maybe some stuff for the future too. And we'll go in order. We'll start with Will. He starts it off. Go ahead, Will.
Okay, I'm Will DM. I'm the head of, I'm co-head along with the marvelous and most talented producer Adam of Wicked Studios LLC. We do Return to the Bandit Kingdoms, which is on Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Ravana, which is on Fridays, also at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And starting April 7th is Tales of a Savage Land, which will be starting at the same time, 9 p.m. I like the 9 p.m. Eastern Time slot, it seems. So that's me. Oh, and I'm running the opening. My crew is the guys that get up way early. So Steve is going to be getting up at, before that, his start time for him is 5 a.m.
Oh, so he's on the West Coast.
Yeah, he's over there in Oregon. So
nice, nice. Well, and we'll talk shortly about your brilliant start off idea. I was so inspired by it. So Anna, as always, let's go to Anna and just talk about what you're up to right now, and then we'll.
Well, right now I'm trying to shrink down a huge Photoshop file to become so small that I don't have to be, so it can be a PSD instead of a PSB. But now we're getting too technical. I'm currently working on 2 big projects. I'm working on my Greyhawk stuff for my patrons, and I'm also working on a project for Cobalt Press. So those are the big mapping projects that I'm doing at the moment. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff. And I hope that I can have start having special online mapping sessions for my patrons from next week. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that I'm working, blog posts and stuff that I'm working on that will come to this evening and tomorrow.
So you're going to be working while you're on this chat. That's awesome.
I'm working right now. Yep.
That's fantastic.
What a wonderful woman.
Yeah, well, Anna and I were on. Hopefully, no one from my company's watching this, but Friday we were on just chatting with each other for 4 hours, working out of our home offices.
We were both working, and yeah.
That was funny. Go ahead, Bree. Tell us a little about your background, D&D background, and what you're up to.
Well, I'm NPC Bree. My D&D background actually starts with Greyhawk. I had no real experience really playing D&D. And one day DM Shane reached out and said, "Hey, I'm starting a home game and I'm going to figure out how the internet works and how 5e works. And we're going to play in this crazy world called Greyhawk. Have you heard of it?" And I'm like, "Nope, but sure, I want to learn how to play." So
awesome.
We started playing a small group for about a year. And then we thought the story was worth telling, and all of us founded the Greyhawk channel. And we have been playing now for live over a year. So we've just reached our 2-year anniversary of Return to Greyhawk. And
brilliant. That's awesome.
During that time, I've fallen too deeply in love with the lore of Greyhawk, and I've just recently starting my very own show.
And I caught it. I caught a bit of it on Friday, and it was very intriguing. The Dreadwood, Mark, remember we had our Dreadwood mini campaign. It's an awesome place to play in.
So it started already. What time and date is that on?
It's Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern. Yes, we have done episode 1 and episode 2. They started out pretty light. I'm easing my players into this world, but starting next week, as they say, shit hits the fan.
Nice.
I'm allowed to swear. I didn't swear. Am I allowed to do that?
I don't know if you can do that shit here.
Don't want to offend anyone.
You'll be fine. Trust me. We have 5 or 6 50-plus-year-old men around a table playing D&D on Thursday nights. Can you imagine the stuff? And the noises, the bodily noises that come out half the time too. It's really disturbing. It is. It's a disturbing game. So
dad noises.
Yeah, dad. Yeah, exactly. It's bad.
Yep.
So you really, unless you're not going to be able to. I doubt you'll offend anyone here. So Tim and John. John, can you hear everything fine? Yeah.
Yep.
John, it's been a while, man. I'm glad we bumped into each other a couple times over the last month or so. So give a little D&D background on your how far back you go.
I'm not good with dates, but it seemed to me like it was in the late 70s that we were visiting some friends, and they said, "Oh, that's a really neat game." And they pulled out the original D&D set. And we played a little bit, and we said, "Yes, this is a great game." And then next day, I went out and bought a set for myself, and started Tim and some of his friends.
And shortly thereafter, almost immediately, is when Leuven was born.
Yes, and we will talk about. Trust me, we're going to talk about that. John, tell everyone what your favorite one-liner is as a DM. And it was I remember it being on a little idol or little trophy you got. Yeah, well, remember? Go ahead. I know
You're dead. What do you do next?
Yeah, you're dead. What do you do next? That was his favorite one line. Oh, very catchy. Absolutely. Tim, go for it.
Huh?
Talk about your backgrounds, man.
All right. Yeah. Well, I started again. It was about 3rd grade. And my dad was my first DM, and we actually it was pre-Caverns of Quasquatan.
Wow.
So, I think did it come with a box set? It may have come with a box set, but so we kind of played not, just making it up. And then shortly thereafter did that whole first classic, going to the Caverns of Quasquatan. I also had my first traumatic moments in the potential drama of D&D, where my dad, my DM, killed one of my characters, like one of the first times out.
That's called tough love.
I was gonna say that sounds like something you can only do so much to your kids, but at least you can kill them in a game.
Yes. Well, it was what I remember. I remember this because I was thinking about this today. We walked into a room, and in Caverns of Quasquatan, you set up whatever's in there. So it was like a long dead dragon, and there was still a little coinage left. It had been looted, and there were like 4 or 5 dwarves in there, and they're like, "This is ours." And we didn't even want it, but it didn't matter. They attacked us anyway. So my elf fighter Madge got cut down by some dwarves. And I remember saying, and they're stepping over his body as they come after you. And I was like, I saw what you did to my friend. That was... I don't know if he fudged the dice, so he finally, my guys finally succeeded.
DMs never fudge dice. I don't know. That's urban myth. That's urban myth.
So
we sometimes make honest mistakes.
Yes.
But anyway, that was one of my first formative experiences.
So Tim and John, can you see the? Do you have a Twitch up? So John,
Yeah.
do you know that we have our own emotes now, and we have one of your son's head, right? And this is our critical hit emote. Tim with his shit-eating grin. I'll put up a couple times. So here we go. Here's the Tim head. There you go. There's Tim smiling. That's the critical hit emote. All right. Now mine is the wah fumble wah, right? And that's my head with wah on my forehead, Right, there you go. There's the J. Hey, Geiger, how you doing, man? Good to see you again. Yeah, fumble wag. But I have one specially for Tim. Okay, and John, you'll appreciate this. It's the no, just no icon. So when the DM is tired of arguing, the no, just no icon comes out. And this is an old friend of ours, looking like a barbarian with his finger in his nose with no on his forehead. And there you go. There's the no, just no emote that we need to use. And that especially was made with Tim in mind. And the over-under Thursday night, John, was 5 times I'd have to use that no, just no emote. And I only used it once.
There's a lot of bad press that and I get the easy blame because I'm not there.
And Alan Shearer. Yeah, Alan. Yeah, I mean, hey, everyone knows Tim. You're like a legend already. I mean, you got guys like Rox and the Naz who are. Hey, I don't see the Naz on. He must be working, but it's.
He was on earlier.
Nazrat was on. Okay.
I think so.
Yeah,
but I'm old and forget stuff, so maybe, yeah.
But just wanted to show you that, John, that one of the emotes was specially created for. For Tim in mind there, and so hey, Mark, go ahead, man. You're last on the round, around the horn here.
So my earliest experiences are due to the gentleman on my right. Tim and I used to live actually around the corner from each other, and I was a first grader actually starting, and the catalyst behind it was that hey, we have this great new game to play. Are you interested? And I. Being a first grader, of course, you try to do everything that your peers actually do. So, and I distinctly remember it was the steading of the Hill Giant Chief. And I had started off with just a straight halfling fighter, which is why I probably love halflings as much as I do. And I distinctly remember that after that, I wanted to play another character, a magic user. And I played a straight magic user named Adrian. And now, mind you, that these were first-level characters, and so I don't know, obviously, and didn't understand at the time what John was doing, because first-level characters would never, ever survive against Hill Giants. But he outfitted us with all the appropriate magic items that we were going to need, and one of which was a wand of lightning bolts that my magic user had. And I distinctly remember that we were fighting against a Hill Giant, and I love the idea of a fork lightning bolt. And it was this concept that it looked like this lightning bolt that came out with like fork tines. And I distinctly remember Tim looking at me and saying, if you kill my character, you're going to be in so much trouble if he gets caught. But at any rate, so I've been playing for on and off for the most part for the past 40 plus years. I met Jay, obviously, through Tim and another player of ours named Walt that plays on Thursdays. And honestly, it's something that is, I feel, has actually, to a degree, prepared me for the professional world. There's a lot that goes into D&D playing that really helps you with problem solving and troubleshooting and storytelling and so forth. So there's a lot of even people that are out there. I've seen things from Mike Greenberg from ESPN that talked about how Gary Gygax changed the world in regards to D&D and about how we actually think about things. So it actually caused me to probably become a lot more intellectual than I normally would have. And so, I can attribute it to a lot in the game, and now having the opportunity to share that with a lot of people that are out there in the community.
And his group is really cool because it's a lot of really new players. Yeah. So it's there.
If I could add something.
Go ahead, John.
Can I add something?
Absolutely, John. Go for it. Yeah, absolutely. I'm so happy you're on, man. I'm ecstatic.
What Mark was saying about preparation for life is really pretty true. My wife, who has missed the opportunity of playing D&D all these years, but I remind her with a bit of wisdom. She hears something from our politicians and says something like, how stupid are they? And I said, if you play D&D, you would understand that intelligence is different from wisdom.
Yes, it
Well, and
is.
to add to that, that's why we understand Jay an awful lot, because Jay has an 18 intelligence and a 3 wisdom. So.
Yeah, and there it is.
Exactly. I mean, and you know, I get my stones busted constantly, which is you know, all in love. So which I can accept. You know, you get a group of friends, you keep them together this long, and that's and this was part of it. Going back last March and April, I'm thinking to myself, you know, I've had enough of us hiding. We were like completely in the shadows. You know, we had this rich game that was almost 38 years old at the time. No one outside outside of our little circle knew about it, and that's when I decided to start streaming. And it's been a little rocky here and there with 1 or 2 players, but we got through all that, and we're having a blast now. And so this thing came to my mind like I guess in October. And I'm like, you know what? I could get Shane's channel's fantastic. All the people he has on there, and I know Will's got a great idea with his Bandit Kingdoms, and we're doing all sorts of Greyhawk stuff. Let's get them all together and let's do this big stream, and just that. And so that's when it started, and you know, it's come to fruition, and this hopefully will just help all the community, you know, all. Even more, and you know, maybe you know, shared viewers, and you know, everyone donating to a good cause. I'm really excited about everything. So I kind of lost my train of thought there. So I want to make a quick announcement. So on Thursday nights, our quarterly NBA subscriber follower giveaway on Thursday night. The $75 gift certificate went to Sprocketeer, is an older gentleman, lives in the UK. He said he would not, he wouldn't take it. He'd give it to someone. Mojo won, and he's a sub too. Mojo won the 25. I gave Mojo the 75. Okay, so I have a 25 gift certificate. I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to give that as a thank you to someone who gives us a big donation over the stream. So I do have a $25 one. The 25 follower one from NBA is still out there. What I've done with our channel is I've wiped clean my cheers and all donations. So any cheers I get from this point on and through Saturday will all go to St. Jude. So we're starting right now for us. If we get something, great. If we don't, it's no big deal. You know, I've always told my guys, only do what you can afford. It's about playing the game, you know, for us. So so anything we get from this point on will just be used for we'll go to St. Jude. So we've wiped the slate clean. So Jay, break your figures. Thanks, Bill. As Bill the Master Crafter's on, and I got his dragons. I got all his terrain up, and yes, I broke a 2-fisted fighter Sylvanov Thursday night. I dropped it, and the weapon snapped off, and they got to hear it from him. I'm like, I'm sorry, I broke another figure of yours. So, but it happened. So let's talk about everyone's stream. Unless someone has a question from the audience, you know, we'd be more than happy. We'll stop what we're doing. We'll answer your questions as we always do in any show. But why don't we start with we're going 16 hours. It's going Wicked Studios LLC. Return to Bandit Kingdoms is first. This is all Eastern Daylight Time. Everyone who's watching, EDT 8 to noon. Okay, and then Mark is going second. Noon to 4 EDT with his partner Shieldlands. Bree's going third, 4 to 8 p.m. EDT with her idea we talked about a little yesterday, and I think it's if she goes with that idea, I think it's going to be fantastic. And then my finale 8 to midnight, but it'll probably go a little later than that, and it's going to be one of the biggest fights I've ever tried to do, and I know I'm going to have to keep Tim in line, and you know, it's going to be fun, and we're going to have I have a way to do that. So that'll be 16 hours at least minimum of streaming. And like I said, any cheers, any donations we get, where it's all going to St. Jude, we have it all set up. So you can either donate via the button at the bottom of everyone's page in the panel area. It should be linked right to, and you can do it right off a credit card or PayPal that way. Or you need to purchase Bits Cheer and do it the old-fashioned way where there's a little diamond in your text box. A lot of people don't know how to cheer, believe it or not. And you press that, and then you type cheer and the amount. Roughly 1,000 bits is like $10. roughly, and that's where it goes. So there are two ways you can do it, and I'm hoping we already have $200. We've done from our sponsor, and from one of Mark's players has already given us $100. So we're 200, and I already have a lot of my non-D&D playing friends committed to donating too. So I think it's going to be a fantastic event. So Will, so anyone in here want to place any input? Go for it. Open. Let's do that first. Anyone want to say anything? Please do. I don't want to hog up all the time here. Anna, any comments? What do you think?
I'm so glad to be invited to play. I'm one of the non-DMs in here. Well, non-DMs for this day. I've run games for decades now, but so far I haven't run any online that much. So I've played quite a bit online, but I haven't run much online yet. But I'm really looking forward to be a tiny little part of this venture, so to speak.
You're going to be a big part, because that gentleman down there, John's character and your character have an item in Greyhawk, and have been for years. So
yes,
I cannot wait.
I'm playing kind of a little bit.
John doesn't even know, does he, Tim? You didn't even tell him.
Yes, John, please go first.
John, your character Abdul.
Abdul's love.
Yes, Mariel. Anna's going to play Mariel.
Yep.
John, I didn't even know. I cannot wait.
This time.
Yes. I can't wait for that. Of course, John, Tim's character Skeeve is already going to throw some wrenches in there too. So. Geez, yeah. If we had Skeeve, he could go solo. So, are we all playing the same version of D&D on Saturday? That's a good question. Mark, take that answer.
No, actually, we're not. So, Jay and I both run 1E, 2E versions of everything. I believe everybody else is running 5E.
Correct.
Correctly.
And the idea behind this was the following: same world, different DMs, different channels, even different play styles, right? Different ways to DM, but all Greyhawk. That was my catchphrase early on, was how we did it. And so there's different, it doesn't matter what the edition is or whatever. So Bree, what do you think about that as far as watching some of us old schoolers?
I love it.
Okay.
I honestly, I love Greyhawk so much, and it's so much fun to be surrounded by people who have years of knowledge, because I've only started learning about it really for like the past year and a half now. So I feel like no matter how much I learn, I'm always like, I learned about this. And then there's always someone who's been playing for years that goes, yeah, well, have you read this article from like 1979? And I'm like, no.
But you have to realize that happens to me too. And I kind of spend days, hours every day reading. And then people tell me, no. That's the story behind it. Was like, what? I never heard about that. Yep. So it keeps happening. So, yep.
I mean, I remember the day that I figured out that Tasha's Hideous Laughter, Tasha is Igwilv. And,
yes.
And I just like started texting Shane. I was like, oh my God. And he's like, yes, young one. You
Bree, do you want to hear a funny thing in our campaign? Okay. In Expedition to the Ruins of Greyhawk, that mega module, it was a 3.5 module. The exact opposites of people come out. And so Robilar actually becomes himself. The original Tasha is reversed. She's good. They didn't kill her. She's in our campaign as Tasha now, right? Mark, she's like an eighth. Yes. So Tasha exists in our world along with Igwolf in a reverse. Yeah, it's kind of cool. So, yeah, absolutely. There's all sorts of things neat things going on out there in the world. So, Tim, do you ever think we would switch from 1E to 2E?
To something else?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Very simple. And why would that be?
Well, it's not broken, so you don't need to fix it.
Well, you seem to have kind of evolved it in using your own house rules, added stuff, and made it into your own version of 1E, 2E kind of. And that's an awesome way of doing it.
Yeah, we don't feel, and we stress this an awful lot, especially on Sunday nights when we have these discussions. We don't care what version anybody really plays. I mean, we obviously joke an awful lot with 5 years for obvious reasons, because we're old guys and
That's
Set
fun.
But at the end of the day, it's really about having fun with the game. And
Yeah.
we can discuss rules. We can discuss.
There's the first. There is the first cheer, and thank you, Mojo. Thank you so very much. That goes, and look at that. That's
Awesome.
2, and in bonus, that's 2 bonus hero special points for Thursday night, and I'll make sure Tim doesn't get one. Just kidding.
Thanks.
No, I'm kidding, Tim.
Yeah.
So,
But
but thank you very much.
honestly, we don't really care about the version that anybody plays. It's about having fun with the game, and we understand, of course, that we've been playing it for so long, we get so used to it. I know with my group, I'm having to adapt a couple things here and there because the material that is really available and highly available and knowledge that is out there is really more 5e based. So I've had to kind of change up a couple of things just to get them more integrated into what it is that we actually do.
Yeah.
And I've actually, in being out and about and deployed when I was in the military and living abroad, I had a buddy who he played 3.5, so he played some of that. So I had some 3.5 characters.
Which is Pathfinder, which is what Anna plays. Anna's a Pathfinder.
Oh, yeah, and I've played in Greyhawk using every rule from basic D&D. I think we started with first edition AD&D. We played basic D&D, but when I ran game, I started with first edition AD&D, and then I've used second edition, third edition, fourth edition, Pathfinder. I've played in quite a bit of fifth edition games, but I haven't run any games. But I've used Pathfinder the past 10 years, and now I'm in the mind thinking, okay, will I stay using Pathfinder first edition? Should I adopt Pathfinder second edition, or should I adopt fifth? So I'm leaning more and more towards actually evolving with the Pathfinder rule system, because that's the one it's the third edition kind of go into, because 3.5 was the one that I really liked, and then Pathfinder just continued. But it's been, and I've had equally fun. It's because back in the day, first and second edition AD&D was that was the thing, and I just loved it. But then when third edition came about, I kind of loved that even more. So yeah.
It's and there's no right or wrong way to play the game, and that's
That's
the wonderful thing.
Sure.
What about you, Will? I mean, you're a 5-year through and through. Any of the other games you play anywhere else, a different edition?
Well, yeah, because I got started, of course. I was doing AD&D. Thank you for following. I got started with AD&D when I first started playing, and I've gone through the editions except for fourth. When I got back into it this last time was with fifth edition, and I love the simplicity of fifth edition, so I decided to go all out with it. And I do play other games. The other stream that I'm going to be having coming up on Wednesdays is Savage Worlds. And it's the Savage World rules. And again, it's another, and what got me interested in that was because I came across the podcast, which was Conan, which I'm a huge Conan fan.
Cool.
That was done with the Savage World rules. And I was like, oh, that's really brutal and gritty. And I love it. So, but I probably, most gamers that are hardcore, it's like you end up playing other games,
Yeah.
But D&D is still the great granddaddy of them all. So, everybody still has that either soft spot or, they prefer.
Thank you very much. I want to say this to anyone who's following and anyone who's on my channel. Please support all the other channels. And I'm not just talking about Wicked Studios LLC and the Greyhawk channel. We have a consortium of other channels that Will and I belong to. Forsetti, Ukador, Nightheart Gaming, Frank, I think is still on. Please just check them all out. Everyone's got their own little niche, and they're all good people. And like I said, I wouldn't partner with someone who wasn't good, a good person. So please, guys, check out all the other channels as well. But I really appreciate the follows. Thank you. So, hey, John.
Hold on, Jay. I'd like to go back to something that you said real quick. You said that there's no wrong way to play the game, and I'd like to beg to differ. When you think that you can actually go and burn down Ravenloft Castle, that's the way of playing the game.
I actually had somebody that I was hosting a DMing for a local live group of people that I work with, getting them introduced to it, and they branched out and went and were playing other games afterwards with other DMs, and so I check in and say how was that going? So the one person was I went and I was playing at this other game, and they wanted me to sit in and play somebody's character for them because they weren't going to be there, and I was like, that kind of sucks. Nobody really likes doing that because it's not your character. You don't know what to do. You don't want to get them killed. Blah blah blah. And it says, I would never do that. I would just NPC them or shelve them for the night, And then it's like, well, I asked him that, and he says you can't do that. That's illegal. And I was like, it's what? Illegal? What is the D&D police going to kick in the door? You can't do that? What are you doing? There's no one rolling them dice.
You get fined experience points.
Yeah, exactly.
Mark's story goes back to, there used to be a D&D store down the Jersey Shore, and we go down there. And the original Ravenloft module had just come out, and it was freaking hard, and it was really a hard module. And so I go in there and say, hey, have you played the Ravenloft module yet? And they go, oh yeah, but we couldn't get the Strider over, so we just burned the castle down. I think to myself, you burned down a stone castle? What the hell's, I mean, I was like, so that's where that joke came from. Yeah, they burned the castle down. That's a new one for us. So
I'm sure that guy in charge of the whole area would never have had it magic to not burn.
Yeah, exactly. But Ravenloft was just, I mean, there were so many games of that era that were so momentous, and it was so momentous they made a whole world out of it, right? They made a whole world out of it afterwards. So
there was a big splash when that module came out.
Absolutely. Yeah, Bill, no take your pay. So John, are you a little scared about being online during a game event coming up?
Not scared, just sort of probably puzzled by who's saying what and what's happening and all that kind of stuff. I hope you have the technology to zoom in on a character so it's very clear.
We'll be there, though.
Yeah, you guys are going to be here. You two, you're going to be
you
here.
Have the easy bit. I'm one of them that have to play through the digital.
We have, John, I have 3 cameras running, and I have a wide screen, which is centered around me, of course. And then, and then I have 2 smaller ones that are blown up. It's pretty cool, John.
You laugh, it's true.
Yeah.
But,
Mark, you're used to this. You're coming from a distance most of the time. So, yeah.
Yeah, I still campaign in the Thursday night one because I'm originally from New Jersey with these guys, so. I have been about the only one that, with the exception of this past Thursday when Tim did.
Yeah, and so Tim, and now Tim's welcome to join in anytime on a Thursday. I know some family things. So, but John, you'll be there Saturday night playing your character, and I'm so looking forward to having you there. We're gonna have while Bree's playing, we're gonna have food. We're gonna watch that. We're gonna hang out for an hour or two, prep up, and we're gonna be watching the Greyhawk channel at my house. Yes, yeah.
Hey, question.
What's that?
My dad had a question.
Go for it, John. What's your question?
Okay. Those of you who have changed versions, have you kept anything from the old versions, or do you just wipe the clean and start again?
We talked about this yesterday, so go for that. What you're doing in 5e, all the stuff you're adding.
Well, so I learned how to play D&D with 5th edition. I mean, I'm only 23, so it's the edition closest in my span of life. But I'm playing in Greyhawk, and when it comes to 5th edition is a great tool to do a lot. You can do just about anything you want. It's a nice shell. So I've been doing a lot of digging into the old games. I have all the Encyclopedia Magicas, so I'm using all of my players' magic items are coming from those books for this campaign. I'm looking into old modules, and I'm using those. I'm using the information of Greyhawk as it came, and I'm twisting it as necessary to make sure my game is as true to the Greyhawk world as possible.
And you're incorporating some magic items, which is great from old school. And I don't know about Will. Will, why don't you elaborate a little bit on that too? And Anna, as far as Pathfinder goes.
It's pretty much the same thing. When you're dealing with Greyhawk, all of the good source material is in all those older editions. So you just bring it forward. pretty much anything is open. I don't leave anything back. So as far as I'm concerned, the only thing that 5th edition has brought is a different way to roll the dice and determine what happened. Everything else is still there, is still canon, is still available, especially with things like in as far as I'm concerned, because if you'll notice, and this, some people just noticed this recently, a lot of the spells that used to have the name associations with them no longer have those. They've dropped that away from the spell to make them more generic. But
Tiny Hut, Leomund's Tiny Hut.
Yeah.
Leomund is the only one. He's got good lawyers, I heard, because he's the only one that's been able to keep his name.
Right.
Like, Acid Arrow used to be Melf's Acid Arrow.
It's so funny because that's what Paizo did in Pathfinder for obvious reasons. But then Wizards actually did the same thing in D&D 5th.
Yep.
And they probably started in 4th edition. But for me, it's been...
I kind of like what 5th edition's doing with that, because what they're doing is they're going away from or trying to, granted everything is huge, just Forgotten Realms, but in the core stuff that they're trying to put out, they want to make it generic location. Yep. So they can be dropped in anywhere. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's No, it's okay. I think, but for me, it's been that the story's gone on. But one of the benefits for me to move to 3.5 Pathfinder and so on, they have been to kind of make rules for things that are in the world that wasn't in the 1st edition AD&D and 2nd. There were no rules for a lot of cool things that was out there. There were mentions about all sorts of demons and necromancers and all sorts of stuff, and it was kind of cool to have rules for it. So you can level up monsters, you can do all sorts of stuff that was kind of that. I run a very sandboxy campaign, so I wanted to have rules for things, and I wanted to see how things fit in and kind of, because I don't know how adventure is going to end, so things just go on, and I'll let the players loose, and then we'll see what happens. and often it doesn't happen anywhere near, but the ends are not what I expect it to be. And sometimes it kind of pewters out into nothing, and sometimes things go with a bang early on, and I have to come up with something completely new. And to me, that's kind of interesting, because I want to be as surprised as the players.
Right.
Here's a good question. Okay, go ahead. Finish up. Go ahead, Will. Yep.
I tend to change things regardless because of one, I'll like mispronounce things, and like Krasner in the Badnik Kingdoms, that's not how you pronounce his name. It's like Karnsner or something like that. He's one of the lesser Boneheart guys. And it's like, I called him Krasner for a while. I was like, nope, he's Krasner. That's just the way it is. That's how it works. You know?
Since we were so in a little bubble, I mean, we say Rennie instead of Renee. We say Ias instead of Ias. We get our stones busted all the time on Discord. All the time I get that.
But at least you had English as your native language. I started playing it in Swedish, and we read the books and we pronounced it all over the place and had no real... This is long before the internet or anything. We had no clue.
How many people said, "Oh, this is the kingdom of Geoff"? Because there's no way they would call it Jeff.
Yeah, we do that. We still call it Geoff.
It's Geoff.
It's Geoff to us.
It's Geoff, because no one's going to call it Kingdom Jeff.
Thought it was pronounced. That's how Shane said it the first time. So that's
Geoff is the correct pronunciation.
Okay? Tim stated it, therefore it shall be. It is for us. So Mojo has a question from the audience, Mark, and I want you to take this. I want Bree and Will to take this on 5e. Cantrips, which you use in 5e, and don't tell Tim. Cover your ears on this. Go ahead, Mark.
So it's interesting you actually mentioned this, because one of my players brought this up recently too. Because if you look at a true 1E, 2E type of campaign, you have a usage of just spells, at least how we play, is limited by your level and so forth. And it's pre-memorized types of spells. So you got to kind of know what it is that you want to do beforehand as you memorize them. And in introducing this to brand new players, are like, I feel kind of useless because I'm saving everything up to the end. I don't feel like I can really do anything, and I don't have any interest inside of the game. Would you ever consider the concept of using cantrips like 5e does? So I started looking through some of the cantrips that are there, And the cantrips that were in 1E really were in Unearthed Arcana. And most of them that were there were more of what I like to call sleight of hand types of cantrips, or things that you would expect like you read any fantasy novel, any kind of mage could snap his fingers and a light goes on, or could speak some mundane type of arcana and you would see maybe a book float up in the air. There's like traditional things that every mage could do. And so as I sat there and started thinking about it, I was like, well, maybe I'll start lessening my restriction on use of cantrips. But when I started looking through the 5e ones that I wanted to incorporate in, they were more powerful than some of the first level spells and second level spells that you would have in. So the intent is that I'll probably mix them both from Unearthed Arcana as well for role-playing purposes, and then the damage-seeking ones from the 5e versions, but toned down a bit compared to what they actually are. There's some of them in a 1e campaign, if you're doing like 2 to 12 points or 1 to 10 points of damage with a cantrip, that's a lot, considering that a singular magic missile spell does 2 to 5 points. Yeah, that's all that you get. Or Burning Hands that does 1 point per level. So, at the end of the day, it is, I think it has merit to incorporate them in, even if it's just from a role-playing perspective.
Right.
I think, sorry.
Go ahead, Anna. Absolutely.
I was just going to say that was one of the few really good benefits I saw with 4th edition, was that the spellcasters always had something cool to do. They never ran out of spells and powers. They always had something fun. I remember the early days when we played, if you were below 5th level and you couldn't cast 3rd level spells, you were kind of guarding the horses and you were kind of useless. And then you became this super powerful creature at the top. And I think that cantrips is something that playing bigger and bigger role the more advanced the editions have come over the years. And in Pathfinder 2, it's even that they scale up. So that means that when the higher level you get, the more damage they do. So even your acid splash is one hell of a spell when you're a 15th, 18th level caster, meaning you can always deal out a hell of a lot of damage, even no matter how many times you cast it. And I kind of like that. Yep, I do.
Well, and I'd like to add to it. I think the other thing that we, at least I know with my newer group, I actually preach an awful lot. And the concepts that we have, and this is not supposed to be that one is better or worse, the concepts of 1E versus 5E. So the things that we explain in a 1E, 2E world is the game is more about balance. Mm-hmm. And so that's why you didn't have things like Dwarven Paladins or a half-orc
magic user.
Magic user.
Yep.
And the reason being is because you needed to provide some balance between what players could actually play, because you didn't want to have a complete powered campaign. So for instance, if you had a Dwarven Paladin in 1E editions, their saving throws that they would actually start off with would be +6 in most cases, because they're going to have a very high constitution
+2
against poison, magic, and spells. So they go from a fighter, which is supposed to be at 17, down to an 11. Well, that's completely imbalancing when you think about how everything else is supposed to run.
Right, but
the same thing happens with mages.
By making it where everything's available, you also remove each uniqueness from
Right, but that's a little differentiation in where the game's evolved, and we're old curmudgeons and we don't change well. So you gotta understand that.
I'd like to bring up.
So we supplemented it too. Yeah. So we have a character class for the dwarf.
Yeah,
it's like that Dwarven Paladin, which is Field Thane.
Yeah,
and they have different kinds of things.
That's true.
That take place too. So it's not that we haven't absorbed it to a point where we say, oh, no, we would never do it. It's just that we've gone in a little bit of a different direction, like Anna was mentioning, a little bit of the house rules.
Yeah, and I think you seem to have done a lot of awesome choices to kind of make. You made you forked it, for using a software term, so to speak. You forked it early on, and you solved a lot of the same issues that other later designs have tried to, in your own way that works for your group, and that's perfect. That's the way to play the game, in my opinion.
Go ahead, Will and Bree, and we'll finish up this topic.
we were talking earlier about what have we converted over from earlier editions into fifth. Now, this is an example of back when I love cantrips, absolutely love them. And I got the idea and fell in love with them with the original Dragon article that was published in the Arcana, because I was the same way. It's like, there's wizards, they burn through their spells, and then what are they? They're just standing in the back, being a backseat driver the entire time. It allowed that to happen. So what I did was, in earlier editions, I took the cantrip idea and expanded upon it in my own. Yeah. And I actually went and looked at it in different games and imported ideas. And as a matter of fact, with Savage Worlds, they don't have an official cantrip thing. So I've created that for that game that I've got coming up on Wednesday, because I feel that it's so important to have those little things. And it's not damage spells are the spells. Cantrips are for everything else, for flavor and for little things. Lighting candles, small gust of winds, slight odors.
Cool points.
Yeah.
like when you're green, when your teeth turn green when you bit that root. Fencing.
There you go.
Any other? I had to bust the stones. Any other input you'd like to put on this on cantrips?
Use the cantrip to change the teeth color back.
Hey, I don't know. I'm obsessed with cantrips. I think they're some of the most powerful, most important parts of a structure for Magic users. I mean, Fireball is always going to be a badass spell. We know what it does, but when it comes to these simple, like the mending spell or like little things like that, the power that it has to create unique situations, it really like helps your players think. They're completely out of spells and they have cantrips like Prestidigitation. How are they going to find a way to still be useful to the party in some way, shape, or form? I think like the spells are pretty strong. Like Firebolt is a very cool spell. Eldritch Blast, very cool. But I really like the ability to really think as players and really kind of come up with ways to solve a situation. And then now as I'm DMing, I love it even more because it's so exciting to hear a player go, well, what would it be possible if I tried to do this, which would cause this to happen? So then this could happen. And I'm like, yeah, that's some of the coolest things I've ever heard. And even though it's not written in the book, it's just really awesome to see people using their creativity in a way that's just completely unique. And I think without cantrips, you would lose that very important element, at least in 5th edition. Right. Because 5th edition is all about coming up with solutions for problems that you never expected to happen.
Mojo, great question. Really appreciate that one. Hopefully that gave you some answers to it, but I think we hit the gamut on that one. So I know Will's time. Will has actually a game tonight, so we'll keep the questions going. And this is fantastic. It's almost like a DM roundtable again, because everyone here has DMs, including John and Tim. So it's almost like our third DMs roundtable, which is great. And thank you so very much for the viewership. This is it's humbling to see that many people, how interested everyone is in and what we're doing here, and I really appreciate it. And it's a team effort here. All the channels, please, like I said, give them all a check out and a follow, please. So Will, why don't we start off with you getting up early at 6 a.m. EDT? I'm sorry, 6 a.m. your time, 8 a.m. EDT. And we're going to just chat real quick from Will's perspective on what he's going to do to start off this great Orb of the Dragonkind, Tales of, and our 16-hour charity Greyhawk Mega Stream event.
Well,
So,
I can't take total credit for this. Basically, what happened is I got the crew together and we were like, okay, so we're gonna be kicking this off. What are we gonna do? What do we have? We started kicking around ideas, and Michael's actually the one who came up with playing monsters. And I was like, reverse dungeon, because of course there's a word for everything nowadays. And so when he came up with that, I took that and I ran with it. And then we went and we kicked around more an idea of what we were going to do with it, because you couldn't have a traditional dungeon crawl if you're playing the monsters that are in the dungeon, because it didn't really have the same flavor, or you want it to be more entertaining. So basically the monsters and the dungeon of Azatus is this crazy wizard who happens to have one of the dragon orbs, and of course some goody two shoes from the Shield lands found out that he's got it, so they're going in and they're raiding his dungeon, and so basically what happens is that Azatus is having some of his trusted minions to take the orb of the dragon kind, and they have to take it and spirit it away out of the dungeon while it's being besieged. Now, it, like all good monsters, they have rivalries and don't like each other, and each level of the dungeon doesn't like the lower level of the dungeon because they think they're so much better than they are. So
That's awesome.
The monsters within the dungeon are as much of an obstacle as the wandering bands of Shieldlanders who are there to abscond away with this orb and hack apart all the monsters that are there. So that's the idea that we came up with. And,
it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
We're gonna go with, yeah.
For one shot, it's a brilliant idea. Absolutely.
Yeah. I've also decided what I'm going to do, because as I was going through and I was finishing up writing all the material that I would need up for this, I'm going to publish this.
Cool.
I'm going to go ahead. I'll put it together as a I guess they call it pseudo Greyhawk now, because you can't really use the terms.
We all need to talk to Carlos about how to publish stuff as Greyhawk.
I already started doing that. I already started talking to Carlos about it. So
awesome.
Cool.
Go ahead and I'll put that up as a pseudo Greyhawk afterwards. So if anybody likes the way that things go down, they can run through the same stuff. So.
Wow, Jeff, thanks a lot, man. You have been very giving. So, Will, you're going to at some point, and we don't want to ruin anything, but it's going to be handed off to Mark. Yep. So does anyone have any questions online for Will and what his part is? His part's 8 a.m. to noon EDT this Saturday, the 23rd. Anyone have any questions about what Will from Return to the Bandit Kingdom is doing? I think it's a brilliant idea. Anyone in the audience here? John, what do you think about playing monsters?
I think it's great. I vaguely remember doing something like that once upon a time, but I'm old and I forget stuff.
That's awesome. That's good. Yeah, there's the reverse dungeon. Tim has
there. It is right there.
There it is. Yeah. 2E.
I really like it.
Yeah,
it's good stuff. Yeah,
that's awesome. So, Anna,
the role play.
Yeah, that's such a great idea. Anna Bree,
I'll read that afterwards, so I don't spoil what I intend to do and see how I messed it up and could have did it better later.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a blast to start it off with, and like I said, I'll be up bright and early watching. Mark's group's coming to Jeff's house, who said he's not going to be there, jokingly. I just did the cheer. They're going to be there early watching. I would love to get a buku amount. Listen to me with bad 80s terms. Amount of people started off right at the beginning, and I know 16 hours is a long time, everyone, but I'm so excited about and melding one into the other. It may be a little, the storyline. It's kind of like, think of the movie Heavy Metal. The stories are all kind of interlinked about the Lochnar, but really they're not. But I'm thinking that's the way this is going to go, and I think it's going to be a blast. So please, whatever you can do, let's start off bright and early in the morning and start off with Will's run. So Anna Bree, any comments about what Will's up to?
It sounds awesome, and I've done a few experiments that way. Not really a reverse dungeon, but we played. I had a group of players, we were just fed up with the normal, so they rolled up. They played some goblins, and one of them was like a troll or half troll or something like that, an ogre, and they were part of IU's kind of leftover after battle. Things had gone wrong, and they just be pissed and angry and went on a murdering hobos in whatever random direction, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah. It was so much fun, and yeah, that was one of the highlights I've had of my gaming career, so to speak. It was really a lot of fun, and after a while we started to get philosophical. Like, we need to play evil, and what if you don't want to? After they've slaughtered half the first village and gone on a complete killing spree, and realized that now everyone was chasing them, and it's like, and then the trolls say, well, I don't have to run, I can just run and start eating them, and these were normal villagers, and realized that what the heck, I could just so they went. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was the early days when we played 3rd or 3.5 edition. That was.
Bree, you ever played Monsters? That's awesome, man. Absolutely.
No, I haven't, but now I wish I have.
Oh, there's plenty of time. You'll
Oh,
get
yeah.
to it.
Oh, it's like one of those things where ideas start to fill your mind and will become an obsession, and
Yeah.
have to do it.
One thing that I've noticed though is, like, in my experience with playing, because essentially this is evil. For shorter periods of times it's better, but it's also good. You got to really have some really strong goals set. That's why one of the things we wanted to make sure with when we were planning out the dungeon is because it can turn south real quick when you're playing a bunch of real diabolical, nasty, evil people. And that was one of the things, because in the Bandit Kingdoms, we took 2 little divergents, and we played, instead of playing the press ganged opportunists, they played some guys from out of the county of Ernst, and then we went and we played Iusians. And when we played the Iusians, it's like after the first episode, we were talking, it's like, whoa, I mean, it's like at any second this could like go right off the rails, and it's like, it's nothing but it.
Campaign is not easy. It's
balance,
and it requires a lot of communication and understanding the difference between a murder hobo and being truly evil.
Yeah.
Some of the most evil people on earth have never killed a single person.
Yeah.
Well, and we're going to put humor into it too. Then.
Well, yeah, exactly. That you have to, and for us, it worked really well as long as we could treat it as sort of anger management therapy. It was a way to get it all out and kill all the assholes that had been in our way, meaning the pesky city guards, the tax collectors, and all the ones, chop them up and go for it. So to speak. All the ones that are irritating them and been a problem, and the ones who didn't want to go on an adventure, then. Or help them and whatever, all the measly neutrals and the bureaucrats and all the crappy kind of normal NPCs that wasn't there to help the characters in previous adventures. That was something that the players just loved to go loose on that one. The guy who played the troll, he was like, yes, it was awesome. And so they had so much fun with that.
Okay,
after that kind of gotten through the system, then after that it kind of once it started to have more kind of long-term goals and philosophy and morals and what's the meaning of this came into be, then it was time to kill that off. At least that's what we felt. But for a couple of sessions, it was awesome. So I can really recommend it. But humor is an essential part of it, so it doesn't become real, so to speak.
So I wanted to bring up something also on chat, and our great mod Brian, who everyone knows is my old World of Warcraft friend. He's starting his own D&D campaign. And I convinced him to do Greyhawk, and we've all talked about that in our show. And he is looking for canon events. I gave him a bunch of them. So his chat idea for tonight was anyone with input on major canon events. Going from I did the early days, the Temple of Elemental Evil sacking early on. So if anyone wants to throw him some ideas for some canon events he could put into his storyline, please do that during chat. That would be great as well. And that's what he's he's looking for. So and it's for his own input into his into what he's doing on Obsidian Portal. So thanks, appreciate that. So Will, I'm excited about that. And what do you got? You got 15 minutes before you get a bolt, roughly?
Yeah, roughly.
Okay, all right, that's cool. Excellent. It is. It's going to be a great start to it, and what's going to happen is will be finishing right around noon. Mark, we're going to have each show up hopefully 15 minutes early in a Prelude screen, so that they'll be connecting, so that we can raid everyone in. And there's a way to do that in Twitch. Sometimes it's a little wonky, but hopefully it'll work with all of them. And so we'll finish up with that, and won't ruin any of the story, but the orb will be moving into the Shieldlands, hopefully. So from there, and then Mark will be next. So Mark, part 2 from noon to 4 p.m. Go for it, and let's talk about what you're going to be doing.
Okay, so so the idea that I actually have behind this, because I'm dealing once again with some newer players. So they have traditionally been playing a group that we love to call Slap, and there's some jokes behind it, but they were nicknamed that because of an acronym of the Stupendously Lucky Adventuring Party. and there's also connotations behind it. But at any rate, we wanted to give them an opportunity to start playing some other types of characters. And one of which, for those of you that watch our Monday stream, my buddy Nick actually plays a shadow mage. And so he is very, Nick is very good at a lot of role play. And he loves to kind of bring chaos into the mix, which his character is chaotic neutral. So I had a special design for him for a character it is that he's going to play. And I think my group, my Thursday group with Jay, will love because he's playing a specialty priest of Foltis.
Yes!
And their actual, so one of their typical lines is something to the degree of when it's wintertime to get a little bit warmer, it's just time to throw another heretic on the fire.
Yes.
I love that. Yeah.
Winter is Foltis's way of saying it's time to throw another heretic.
Yes, it
There
is.
you
The
go.
lawful neutral aspect we're talking, not
Yeah.
the lawful good aspect here.
Exactly.
Yep.
And
Wow.
so Nick, I asked Nick to do this, and he loves the idea. So we gave him some backgrounds in it. But the concept, though, about having first level characters behind this, carrying something that is so important, is the concept of hiding in plain sight. And so the pass off that'll literally happen is the Shieldlanders that will have the Knights of the Holy Shielding that will have the Orb of Dragonkind will be passing it on to these first level characters. And so for those who have watched like the D&D cartoon and you know how Eric the Cavalier is, that he basically kind of runs from everything. Well, it's the same kind of concept that, you know, they're not intended to really go up against the strong creatures that would be, you know, trying to get to the actual orb itself. But in most cases, it's about role playing and running away from the things it is that they're going to be dealing with. So there's some twists and turns that I've already had baked into it about details that go on behind the scenes that I don't want to give away at this point. A couple of DMs already have an idea as to what it is, but that concept is to give them some new introductions, some new players that will, or new characters that will come into the mix, and then just basically having somebody that is going to be passed on specifically through the rest of the time. So Bree, actually it would go to you at that point.
Does go to me, which is so exciting because this gives me an opportunity to play in one of my favorite places on the Greyhawk map, and that is the near div.
Great
And
spot.
oh my gosh, I have a deep-seated love for water-related things. So I'm going to have pirates. I'm going to have the Renee, and I'm going to have some desperate folks. I don't know. I don't have a lot of details because I'm really bad on the details. I'm always just like, I have these ideas, and I wonder what my right.
Yeah,
Well,
Run with
definitely.
it.
It's
Just
your
have-
game.
Just
I
have
have
fun
a
with it.
world. I
Yep.
have pirates. I have the Renee, and I have a unknown depths of sea creatures. And I have a bunch of level 10s that are playing a mix of like pirates and Renee, and we're gonna see if they can even make it halfway through the water with this egg of dragonkind. Probably not. Let's see if they can even make it off the shore. But the goal is to travel south of the near div. We'll see how far they get.
That is so awesome. Let me go back to Will. Will, why don't you tell the people who are playing in your game, give them a little credit too. We'll do that with all three of your groups.
Oh yeah. So the Return to the Banded Kingdoms, we got a 4-man crew. 3 of those illustrious individuals will be playing. We've got Michael, who is currently in the show. He plays. Well, I wanted to call him Three Toes, but he plays Ash.
Oh, he's always the guy like this.
Yes.
screen.
Yeah. The guy who always looks like he's bored. Yeah, that's Michael. He plays the priest of Neural. And then we'll be having Steve. Steve's the one that's going to be. He's going to be getting up because we go live at 5 o'clock his time. And he plays Wyndon, who's a native of Rook Roost, and he's a eldritch fighter. And then we got Adam, the producer, who had
still
played,
on.
Yeah. Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, Adam's still on. Yeah.
Had played Silverwolf, and now he's playing actually the reincarnated version of Silverwolf, a guy named Talon, who is the Shadow Queen, plucked his soul out and sent him back into to the Bandit Kingdoms. He'll be on there as well. So I've got 3 of my 4 regular players are going to be in there. So they'll each have a monster that they're going to be playing, and like an NPC that they'll be bossing around as well. So
awesome. Mark, you're second. Who's playing yours?
These are actually people that I work with on a daily basis. My buddy Nick, as I was already mentioning, Jeff, who is one of our donators, is actually playing at his house, and so he has a lot of stuff. He's very much like Bill, our master crafter. Does some amazing work.
I'm putting a picture of his work up right now. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff does some amazing work.
That's
too.
Jeff's work right there. Okay.
Yeah,
So
you're going to see. So he doesn't have like any quote unquote master maze. He actually has effectively molded his own. So you're going to see on that Saturday some of the actual dungeon terrain that we have that's going to be there too. And then as well, we have Amy, who is going to be playing a wild mage, which I'm really excited. She is perfect for that actual type. And then we have Ben, who is he's actually a new player that is going to be starting at this point. He actually started in 3.5 a while back and has done some DMing of his own for version 5. And then a couple of my other players, unfortunately, are not going to be able to make it at that point. But everybody so far has really become really enthused with everything it is that we're doing for it.
Excellent. So Bria stepped away. We'll wait till she comes back to talk to her about her players. Somehow, let's talk about the finale then. Shall we do that? Yeah, let's do that. Right? We got about yeah. Let's do that now. So what do you guys say? First off, audience, what do you think? First 3 stories sound pretty cool, pretty interesting. I think it sounds all fantastic. Everyone's worked hard to come up with these ideas, and I'm so thankful that all 3 of you have really have stepped up and really taken this and run with it. It's going to be a great day. I'm looking forward to finaleing this, and this is what's going to happen in synopsis. Tim, listen carefully. Well, maybe not. So, all right. So the orb is going to end up in the hands of someone of notorious fame, infamy, and I'm going to have Morden.
Who could that be?
Morden Kanan and Tensor himself are going to be coming to Greyhawk. Okay. And they're going to find that a lot of the members of the Iron Brigade, who they've called on in the past, the Iron Brigade is our adventuring group, the highest rated mercenary group we have in Greyhawk City. A lot of them are Knights of Ulick, but a lot of the main members of the Iron Brigade are not there. Like Bill's characters. Bill, unfortunately, cannot make it. Cesar Scorn, Bill the Master Crafter, he cannot make it. So Marcus will not be there. And Salen will not be there, and Trevin won't be there. So they are off to Norwell. So my NPC Kieran Winchester, who has had a child with Marcus, is off there as well. Elijah Winchester IV is missing too. But there's some people visiting from that Morden Kanan actually knows. And it's 3 characters from our antiquity. And so they are going to call on what members are left of the Iron Brigade. There's a lot of good people. John has Abdul Amir, who's go, John, explain your character. Why don't you? Abdul Amir, go for it. Talk about him. Clerk Mage.
He's really out of place. He's basically an Arabic character, and he's actually showed up in some stories I've written. But he came here to convert the pagans, discovered they were not really interested in that, started to learn magic, and he had a wonderful teacher that he fell in love with, and she kind of pets him on the head like a pet dog and sends him away. But he's lawful good, so he's sometimes sticky about things. But he's come up with a couple of spells that he created that I think are pretty good.
Yes, a custom clerical spell, as a matter of fact, too, which is really nasty. So the Stone of the Prophet's Anger, right, John?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It starts out with a glob of, I think it's brass, then followed by blobs of copper, all molten.
Mm-hmm.
And you get one more D4 at each level.
Mm-hmm.
So where he is now, he can roll a D6 plus 10 D4.
It's nasty, and yes.
So it's like an explosively formed penetrator.
Tim had to put it in military terms. Of course. Yes.
It's bad.
So
you do not hit me.
But Abdul, all right, so going back, if anyone who from antiquity knows, there's an adventure called Return of the Eight, and Tensor was killed by Robilar. In that adventure, you can get back Tensor. And there's a picture of Tensor, by the way, in the upper right-hand corner. That's Tensor from Return of the Eight. A picture earlier, the picture before was Mordenkainen. So the Iron Brigade is the group in our campaign that freed Tensor. So Tensor owes them a lot. Now, a lot of Tensor items are in that adventure. Abdul has a Tensor's Girdle of Giant Strength that I made that only lawful good mages could use to Bill's anger. So yes, so he's got a Girdle of Giant Strength as a cleric mage, and he has a +5 footman's mace. So, but if he fights, things are bad if a cleric mage is fighting. So Abdul has been working with Jalarzi Salavarian as training through her in did I say that right for everyone else? That's how it's pronounced by the rest of the community. And
we're gonna go with that.
Okay, and has become very chumly, almost very romantic with Mariel, who is in published canon a lot of I'll put a picture of her up. There's we'll get to him. There's Mariel. Okay, so I have Mariel's character, and guess what? Anna is playing Mariel.
Yep.
So Anna, why don't you talk about? You have the character sheet. What do you give a little talk about Mariel?
First, it's interesting. She got her kind of canon renown for being the sidekick of Jalarasi. Oh, hang on a second. I have to pronounce that. Jalarasi Salavarian, the only female member of the Circle of Eight. Yep. And this is something that I have barely touched in my own gaming, so this is so much fun. So I had to kind of read through a little bit about it. And she's a native Greyhawken, so she's born and raised in Greyhawk, and she is chaotic good, and she's a wizard, and it seems really cool. She has a lot of cool wizardly abilities and stuff, so it's kind of fun. You
can barely see her in the back of that picture. She's the tall female standing in the back of the picture that's up right now. Yeah. That's an old Circle of Eight picture.
Yeah, that's Jalarasi. So yeah.
Yes, that's Jalarzi. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
Jalarzi, or however you. Yep.
I gotta go, guys. Sorry.
Hey, Will, thanks for hanging in there. Good luck on your game.
Yep.
I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you like Friday at some point, and we'll finalize some things. All right. Talk to you soon.
Cool. All right. Take it easy, everybody.
All right. See it. He's got his game to go to.
Yep.
And there we go. So let me. Okay, we are good. Bree's head's cut off a little bit. She'll have to move her thing down.
That's fine. Jay, will you check the Zoom group chat real quick?
Zoom group chat. Okay.
Yes. I'm opening up the real big tech for you.
Okay. Okay. You're fine. Oh, absolutely. If you had, oh boy. Okay. Yes. So, thanks, Bree. Thank you as well for coming on here. And
good to see you.
I will. I'll talk to you as well on Friday beforehand to make sure we're all good to go as well. So
a pleasure meeting everyone.
Yeah. Absolutely. She has a little bit of a minor emergency to take care of. So thank you so very much. Talk to you soon. All
Bye,
right.
guys.
Gary.
All right. So, hey, we got everyone who's involved in our stream at the end here. So let's talk about this real quick here. And so, John, what do you think? You think you'll be okay with having interactions with Anna with your character?
Yeah, that should be interesting.
That would be fun. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
That should be interesting.
So I'm looking forward to that. They're both mages, high-level mages, and let's go to Tim because I know he's itching at the bit here. He's got to get. So if we go back to the years ago, my character is Gazumba, Lord Gazumba, who the channel name's based on, the head of the Order of Uluk. Now he's a fighter clerk mage. He had a best friend who was named Hawk. Well, Hawk and Gazumba adventured with really only two other characters. A lot of things we did was like one-on-one adventuring, and they were Fensick and Leuven. And so Fensick and Leuven are in Greyhawk, right, as we speak, as Mordenkainen and Tensor are looking for this group of people to help out with what's going on. So who do you want to talk about first, Tim? You want to talk about? Let's talk about. Good.
Go ahead.
I was going to say let's do Leuven first.
All right.
Leuven.
I've done a little thinking about this.
Leuven the Light-Fingered, 18th level, straight halfling thief. Give me a little background on Leuven.
So Leuven is he's called a Light-Fingered because he's quite good, had high dexterity, very low intelligence. But a lot of common sense. So he's got high wisdom but low intelligence. So he's not super smart.
Has a fear.
Huh?
Has a fear.
He has a fear. Yeah, he's afraid of a lot of things because he has high wisdom. The biggest fear is vampires. He doesn't like vampires. I've told that story before, though. You know.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That's okay. Oh yeah, I just doing synopsis. Good.
Just he's afraid of vampires because he was investigating the seeming tension. There was a young girl at a tournament, and she seemed nervous and upset, and it seemed like her father was very domineering when he was in the evening, social events. And so he's helping out his paladin buddy. I'll go take a look, no problem. So he sneaks into the room, no problem, and notices there's this long box under the bed. He's like, well, let's go see. And so look, he opens it, and it's like the father's sleeping, and he's like,
the father's sleeping.
And goes, and grabs him, which I roleplay a lot, so I'm like, scream like a halfling little girl, and gets out of there as fast as possible. And then my buddy the paladin leapt through the window, killed the girl's dad to help her, and then she was mad at us and sad. So but he was scared because he was not expecting a vampire, and being under the bed with one was not cool.
Yes. So he has a lot of fears, but he's old school. I have their character sheets here. They have, if you just open the Arcana, they have the items. So that's a joke, Tim. Yeah, look at these sheets. These sheets are so mangled.
Around 40 years.
Yeah, they're at least they're more than 40 years old. Because didn't you start these characters earlier than that? I thought you started these in 79, 80, 70. I guess 40. You're right.
Leuven was the first character I rolled up in third grade.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yes, actually, I was 8 or 9, and I'm 51.
So with that, we'll go to the NPC, then we'll go to Fensick. So I have to keep Fensick in check somehow. So because I'm not going to play Kieran Winchester because Marcus isn't there, and Elijah Winchester IV always gets turned into something, or always we don't need another hardcore hacker, in my opinion. So I'm going to bring the jack of all trades character, and he's one of my oldest characters of all time, and Gazumba's best friend, and great friends with Leuven and Fensick. And here comes it should be coming up here. Boom, boom, boom. There's Hawk. I'm going to play Hawk. He's a 12th level fighter, 14th level thief as the NPC. Yes, and he has 7 con. He's died a lot. He's had limbs cut off a lot. He's always I'm never going on another adventure because he just turned middle age. He's a half elf, and he's 105 or something. So he just turned middle age. Oh, by the way, Leuven just turned old. He turned 103 for a halfling. It's really
so
old.
Dexterity, constitution, strength went down. His wisdom went up though.
Yeah. So yes. So what happens is I do year changes, and everyone goes up a year. Everyone goes. So the characters age in my campaign. So these guys are old, and so I'm going to be playing. Hawk's a good backup character. He can fight hardcore if he needs to. He has no strength bonuses whatsoever. He has a high dex. That's about his only high stat. But
yes, don't worry about strength.
Right, I don't need to worry about strength. Yeah, so that's who I'll be playing to keep check on this character, his other NPC, which is the great mage. Go for it. Go ahead, Tim. The great mage.
All right. Well, I wanted to. There was one other thing about Leuven, because he's really a real good thief, but he's not that smart. So it's kind of like, what's he got in his pockets? I don't know. Well, let's find out.
Yeah, well,
that's the sort of thing he does.
That's what he does. He does things he shouldn't be doing. So
he doesn't like to pay for bills at the bar because he doesn't know how to add. So it's embarrassing to do it. So he likes to get some change and pay for it because he's embarrassed.
He has a Buckner's Everfull purse, so.
Yes, but he doesn't like to bother people with that fact.
Yeah, exactly. So he's pulling out money like crazy. So talk about Fensick a little bit. 15th level half elven straight mage.
Yeah, Fensick. I mean, again, he's one of the oldest characters I've had, and in the early days, starting out with parties, it'd be when they sort of divided treasure. It was a little bit more pragmatic for survival purposes. So if we were a group, if we got a magical scroll or magic item that only a mage could use, it went to the mage. And so he actually benefited from that as being the only mage for a while. So he kind of accumulated a lot early on because mages are boring at low levels. So that helped him out a lot. I gave him a little boost in the very beginning.
Anna has done something on her map for Fensick, and it's named Lightning Rod Tower. Anna. He's the one who carries the lightning rod around and absorbs fireballs.
Cool. Yeah.
That's how it was written up, but now we know it doesn't do that. It's not a problem.
So Brian Sublime has a question for John. How does he feel about going back to this after for a couple of years and getting thrown right into the fire?
Oh, it'll be great. I haven't been playing mostly because of health issues, and I'm slowly getting better. So it'll be fun to get back into the game and see what can happen.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and I'm hoping this is a step forward for Tim played on Thursday night for the first time in a while, and I'm hoping after this Saturday we can start doing. My goal is to do some what's called Saturday night specials every 6 to 8 weeks and run in, and whoever's available can play. Get Tim in, get John in, get some guests in. And just have at it and do a one night or off shot in our campaign. And that's my goal after this, is to do some of those, get some of our subs in to a game here and there. That would be the goal down the road to do that. So, but
I just thought of something else to add. One of the things that I like about D&D is that you can drop off and come back. And if your DM is any good, you can just fit right into the party and go on from there.
Well, thanks, John. I appreciate that. I think that was a compliment. We're going to have a blast. We're going to have a fun time that Thursday night. We're going to have lots of food, lots of drink, and then lots of playing. So, Mark, you have 2 Iron Brigade members. One of them is actually based in the Shield Lands, but it's coming down, and you have another very naughty gray elf female.
Naughty.
Yes. So, discuss your 2 characters.
So actually, it's kind of interesting because Railstone, who is my very first paladin, he actually, in the old original days, was known as a paladin. His name was actually Gloom, Glewm. And then later in life, I changed his name over. He found his real heritage through the Gratis family and came over. And then he actually is the uncle of King David from the Shield Land. So in our campaign, we have an oligarchy that actually presides over the Shield Lands. and my character David is one of the three. Didn't inherit a sword, as it says, to become king, but was established as one of the oligarchs for the Shieldlands itself. So Railstone is his uncle, and effectively is the XO or command. No,
he's
CO.
a commander. He's a commander.
CO.
In the Shieldlands for the Knights of Ulick. The interesting thing is that he started off as a paladin, and then he is now dual classed as a human over to be a specialty priest of Ilmater. His nephew David started as a specialty priest of Ilmater and then dual classed over to paladin. So
yes, fighter subclass.
Yes. Subclass. Now, my other character who Jay is mentioning is somebody that they have not seen on streaming yet. And I wanted to introduce into the mix because there are a lot of interesting people that she really would want to meet in Fensig and Hawk and others. So she's a mage thief as well. Her name is Alhana Sylvanost. And she has a great affection for all sorts of men, let's just say. Her current one, and unfortunately because Bill won't be there, so her current one is Salen. And she was very impressed with Salen because in the adventure, Salen made me do it. He cast a spell that I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but basically Salen really has an enjoyment over breaking bones as
he's a Clark necromancer. He's a little disturbed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so as part of the adventure, she was trying to sneak up on him, and he cast that spell and ended up breaking her bones. And she is so...
Oh, Flesh Shiver. Flesh Shiver.
That's what it's called.
Yeah, 5th level necromancer spell.
And effectively, she was really turned on by it with Salen. So
you're
really
whacked.
Like the idea. So yeah, she's
low wisdom.
She is a little strange, to say the least, but she really enjoys power, men with power. So I wanted to introduce her into this because I thought that it would be a really neat time, especially considering that we would have quite a lot of people on that would have the opportunity to meet Alhana personally.
There's going to be a lot of good RP. I'm thinking the first hour is going to be some hardcore RP.
Yes.
Getting set into what we're going to be doing. So I think it's going to be a blast from that 8 to 9 EDT time where we're doing the before we get into the real hack and slash of the fight. So yes, and so Alhana tends to be the character that is one, like everyone else is either dead or incapacitated. Somehow she's standing, and she shouldn't be, but she's around. She's always like around on the fringes and comes in at the moment you need someone to come in. That kind of character that she reminds me of.
She hides until everyone's dead and then comes in.
Well, we'll see.
To a degree, but she's smart. She executes really, really well.
Yeah, she's a good character. Mark plays her very, very well. She's done a lot of things that were considered evil tinged, so she's got that character neutral with a little bit of an evil tendency to her. But she's a member of the Iron Brigade. They know there's a need for that kind of character. So Salen's a little. Bill just typed in chat. Salen's a little scared of her. Salen's scared of his own shadow. So it's like I said, it's unfortunate Bill won't be there. But some of the other characters are going to be played that night. Include, and we'll go through them real quick. I got a listing here, and then we'll talk about the antithesis and the terrain and stuff here. So include the following. All right, so Fensik, Leuven, and Hawk. This is the log sheet for our players. We talked about all three of them. Yes.
I was going to say that Fensik is like, he's a super genius intelligence, and he's been doing a lot of research and teaching, but he's afraid of a lot of things, so he doesn't show all that, but he's that's taking precautions, using his intelligence to take precautions is one of his big things, but he's also a little bit careless.
Yes,
sometimes.
And he's done something very bizarre. He has a ring of regeneration, one of the few in the campaign. He has taken one of his fingers and cut the flesh out and put it around his bone and let it grow around there. So only way you can get that ring off his hand is to cut that hand off, right? That's the only way. So that's kind of, he's a little, we have a lot of people who are a little off in our game.
He's afraid of,
Yeah, we have some people who are up. So Railstone, Alhana, Mariel's on this list here. I know we skipped off by one, those characters. And then Walt is playing Inga Johansson. She's a barbarian, human female. She's a Tritherian worshiper. She's very nasty and packs a wallop. Alphonse D'Amato, named after the ex-senator from New York State. Cleric Bounty Hunter, 910. He's one of the Night Watchmen. He's second in command of the Night Watch in Greyhawk City. So he is a very important position now, and that's Walt's second character he's going to play. Let me go back through this real quick. Boom, boom. All right, and then Alan's playing Milana Beholderbane, Half-Elf Drow, Knight of Ulick, 10th level. She's called Beholderbane because her saves are so low that she can just run up and attack beholders, and only if she rolls a 1, she's going to fail. Kroger Blackrock, a gnome male illusionist thief, another disturbed character, but he's very good at playing the illusionist thief, and very good at playing. And then Tom is playing Tom the Vindicator. He's a fighter mage, and you've all seen Tom the Vindicator. If you watched a couple of adventures, Tom has played him before. He's a fighter mage. So that's the lineup of our 12 characters, and it's going to be kind of nasty. I can't wait for that fight.
Say, adventuring is the job of a disturbed individual anyway.
Yeah, that's true. that is absolutely true.
Well, we will not be in short supply on that night.
Yes.
Now, so when you say they're disturbed, I mean, it's not a healthy job.
Yeah, absolutely. So Anna has helped, and the map's up. That ancient ruin site has been placed on the map by Anna. Plus, getting back to the Gradavis family, Anna actually in the Shieldland placed the ruined estate of the Gradavis family on the map. It's right. Yeah, Mark's like shaking his head, but yeah, I had to do that. So the Gradavis estate that's ruined is on the Shieldlands map too. There's a picture of the Iron Brigade. So those figures, and a lot of the front row won't actually be. Inga's on the far left, but the other 3 are. Some Winchesters and Marcus, but we're going to have a blast with it. So this is what's going to happen. Tensor, Morning Canyon are going to come to this group. I think I'm going to put you at one of the major inns up there, maybe the Patrician or something like that, one of the snobbier places. And he's going to come into the group, and the synopsis is this. The orb has been absconded by a renowned mage that no one wants to deal with. Morning Canyon doesn't want to deal with it. I'm not talking about Rary. I'm talking about someone worse than Rary, because this person has no inclinations about killing at all. I mean, Rary at least has an idea, a plan. This person has no plan about anything, and that's right out of the Dungeon Master's Guide, Emerical the Chaotic. So yes, that goes right back to that old Dungeon Master's Guide of him zapping people in the street driving.
I love that guy.
Yeah. So Emerical the Chaotic has the orb of the Elder Worm, and you're gonna have to get it from him. So I'm not gonna tell you what level he is, but he's over 20th. So I'm just gonna scare you all a little bit with what he has planned. And if anyone knows about the orb of the Dragonkind, it can control evil dragons with no save. All right, good dragons can get a save, yes. And so Bill, who's crafted a lot of terrain for this. There's Morning Canaan. There's Tensor. There you go. Bill has crafted 2 dragons for me just for this adventure. I mean, these are the the new ones that Pathfinder has out, and he painted the white and the red for us for this. I guess hey. I already have antis if you guys want to prepare against cold and fire. So I'm already preparing in reverse. So Bill's painted these and done the terrain up. And I want to give Bill all the credits to Shar Scorn because he won't be there. And I know he did a lot of work, hours and hours of custom terrain for this because, we're all tabletop players. There they are both together. Yes.
Hey, Lubin and Fencing are coming for a social call. They're not coming.
But that's how adventures start, right?
To their friends.
Yes.
There's no preparation for anything specific?
Well, I understand that, and I've already So if you've all watched and this is Bill's terrain, this is the main area. There's this big tower, big mound, and that's the ancient ruin site that's on Anna's map that she kindly placed for me. And there's this big hole at the bottom of it, and there's this old some kind of ruins of a temple or something. There's fire burning all over the place. It looks like something dug out of that hole. I don't know what it may be, but so this is where, yes. So this is up already on the table. When we finish our adventure with Carlos Thursday, that's in the front of the table. I put this in the back of the table because I have only so much time. So this terrain is being, thank you, Bill. It's fantastic. I mean, you and Jeff do great work for both of you. Whoops, I skipped one. There's a little glowing crystal line formation on there. This is from behind there. It's a nice view that changes colors. A big keep on the top. And we got plenty of combat area for this. I'm so looking forward to utilizing. Yeah, he did a fantastic job with the terrain. I am so excited. And like I said, this has all been planned out since October. And Bill, when did you start? If you're on, did you start building this stuff? What, in January? He started, and that's Jeff's terrain for his group in Ohio. But Bill, if you're on, when was it? Was it January? Yes, Frank from Nightheart Gaming loves terrain, and I am. We are 1E2E tabletop miniature style of play. As Brian Blumklotz calls our game, it's a tactical game. We have a lot of RP, but the RP tends to be early on. So, John, what do you think? You're looking forward to some nice combat back with Abdul?
Yeah, that looks like going to be an interesting visit.
Yes, it's going to be an interesting 4 hours, and if we run a little late, so be it, because we're the finale. So, Anna, where do you think Mariel's going to fit in with this group of crazies?
She's kind of I see her a little bit like an urban crazy, and she's kind of have a thing to prove. She's the kind of second she's kind of the sidekick that might start feeling like she needs to be in the front league, so to speak, the top league. And she's chaotic after all. She wants to have fun, definitely. Yeah, she wants to have fun. And she's starting to be powerful. She's like 13th level here, and in the Living Greyhawk campaign, she was 15th level. And so she's getting there. Yep.
Excellent. I did not know that, or I probably would have made her 15th as well. But
oh yeah, it's not too late to change that.
I'll keep her at 13th. I've done my balancing analysis and all.
Oh yes, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah,
and she has Tensor's transformation, and I kind of love that.
She has to. Yep. So, Tim, you got that look on your face like I don't know what I'm getting myself into.
Well, hey, fencing's chaotic good with chaotic neutral tendencies, and if it gets too bad, that teleport without error will come in handy.
Absolutely. And I see Abdul's figure on the. I'm glad you found Abdul. Tom and John are two of my old school gamers who only have one character. So I have what's called a special. I'll say this, and I learned this from DM Shane. Sorry, Bree's not on, but to compliment him, he ran one for cancer. And what will happen is the following: this is going to be a little bit different format in my game. Someone fails a saving throw and is about to die. I'm going to go to the audience and say, "Give me a cheer for give me a cheer for 1,000, or give me a $10 donation," and they'll make their save. I'm going to be that kind of DM. I'm going to allow money to save people because this is a charity event.
I have some ready to go for my own.
Yeah. So all my players want to do that. What's that?
It's going to be a bunch of wild mages that are in the audience doing alternate realities.
Well, they're fanciful. You said that, and I'll save that for Saturday. An irony that you just said. So I'll let you fester on that comment. So for John and Tom, and I know Anna won't get herself killed early, but John and Tom I worry about. So I have a special rule for them. If Tom the Vindicator or Abdul get blasted off early, I'm going to allow them to bring in their alternate character. So John will have Petronius in reserve, okay? And Tom, the Vindicator, will have Ace Broadhead in reserve, all right? So you guys don't fret about, oh, I'm scared I'm going to die, all right? But I'll make sure Anna's playing the whole time, too. I'll look. So everyone's going to be hiding around Anna now, knowing that I'm not going to kill Mariel off early.
Mariel might be this might be her final kind of super cool adventure. You never know. So, yeah.
This is going to be
Gary
fun.
Con, we killed Marquesa, so
Wow.
God knows what happened. So.
What was that?
Remember Jay, he's Emrakul the Chaotic.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
know. I have a lot of things that that you're not even. Some surprises still. I have a couple for you. So that will finish us up. And even when we're done, whatever time that may be, and I'm guessing 1 a.m. That's my guess. We'll go an hour late is my guess. I even have our friends at Forsetti D&D as an after party. So Forsetti broadcasts Saturday night starting roughly around midnight, and then they go like 3 o'clock in the morning because on the West Coast. We'll raid into Forsetti. So if anyone who doesn't want to end the night to end, so and Ian and his crew at Forsetti D&D will still take donations. All right, so we'll have an after party to go for the fans that go to late in the night in case there's West Coasters who don't want the night to end. So it won't be a continuous story, but they will be playing, and I already set it up with Ian. So we'll have that a little bit as a backup for the crew out there to want to stretch it out. So what do you guys all think for the whole 16 hours? John, Tim, what do you think?
Great. Are any of the characters from the earlier adventures coming into the later adventures?
No, and we kept it separate because each campaign is going on, and we didn't want it to be. We wanted each story to be its own self-contained little story, kind of like that, kind of like movies that have that aspect to it. And so, no, there won't be any crossover between characters in at least player characters in the storyline. And because the first one's monsters, so and the second one's first level Shieldlanders, and then pirates and Rennie. I'm going to say it our way with Bree, and then coming to our Order of Ulick members and Iron Brigade members and old friends, as I put it. So there won't be any crossover. It's a good question. So Tim, what do you think, Tim? Did I do a good enough job for this 16 hours?
Yes, you did.
Yeah,
Praise for impact.
Yeah, I cannot wait. I cannot wait for our game. Anna, what do you think, comment-wise? What do you want to add to this?
I think it's an awesome event, and it's a way to show that Greyhawk can be many faceted, kind of cool setting for many adventures. It's awesome. Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm going to do a lot more of these in the future. I know, and Frank is still on from Nightheart Gaming, wants to do something in the future with us, and so we will go outward and we'll do something with Nightheart Gaming down the road as well. And I want everyone to know that just trying to get the community together for something that everyone feels like they participated in what we're doing with Greyhawk. That was the whole idea behind this, and for a good cause at the same time. So, Mark,
I was going to add to that. So, aside from everything it is that we're doing, probably most important is the fact that this is for St. Jude's.
Yep.
This is our decision, not theirs. They're not affiliated with us whatsoever in any of this. It was just something that we decided as a group, as a whole, to be able to do for them. It is a fantastic charity. They do an awful lot of really, really great work. So, whether you are a D&D player or not, doesn't really make a difference as far as we're concerned. It's a fantastic time to be able to, if you're looking for an opportunity to give, they help an awful lot of children that desperately need it. So thank you an awful lot in advance for those that are able to.
And I will still take sponsors up to the last second. Miniature Building Authority is sponsoring this and has given us some money for this as well. But if anyone else wants to sponsor anything or do anything like that, I'd be more than happy to throw up some ads or some connections into that. We're reasonable. We're not looking for any kind of crazy amount, but we would do that up to this point still.
But we'll still take a crazy amount.
Absolutely. So we will take, and like I said, money. I may be bribing the audience to try and maybe save some characters. And like I said, I learned that from DM Shane, and it worked really well. As a matter of fact, I was giving him cheers to save people who had failed, made saving throws on the one that he did on. That was for cancer research. So, Tim, I'm going to come to you because I want to ask you this question. How was it getting back on Thursday night? because you haven't played in 18 months.
Or how was it?
How did it feel to play again? Yeah,
Oh, it was fun. It was hard to keep track
remotely.
What was happening in detail, but just that was it. That was fun.
Excellent.
It was fun. It was fun going ahead and making sure no one else fell into those traps that my character fell into.
Yeah, I led you right into that one though, dude. I knew the Hangman's Tree. I knew you'd be looking at that. I knew that I would take your eye off, and you would search right there in the net.
No, but I mean, you're going and looking, and
I walked you right into that one. But that was
forward, man.
And that adventure we're going to continue on Thursday. So a little quickie announcement. So we're on Thursday and Saturday. Any cheers or donations we get Thursday will go to St. Jude as well. Carlos Lysing's great module that he made specifically for our Order of Yule campaign, Mushroom Blue. We got halfway through it. On Thursday, we're going to finish Carlos Lysing's module on Thursday night. So Tim has his scout character, Finder, which he's playing, and the rest of the group from now called this is still up for conjecture. The Bloodied Brethren is still, we're arguing about the name of the group. So
no, it's not acceptable.
I figured that would be the case, but the subunits, the first Yule Pathfinders, so they've been sent over to the Pomage, and they're fighting the Sons of Groomsh, who have this blue poison coated on all their weapons, and it's nasty, and people go into convulsions and die. And we almost had Mark's character Ladayden, his gnome, especially Priestess of Ula, almost died. But they saved her with a neutralized poison spell. But they're running out of those. So that's what we're going to do on Thursday night. And then finish that adventure up, go into some RP at the end of that. And then starting that, that'll be the only event before the mega stream on Saturday. So we'll have that 16 hours. I'll be up early because I'll be overseeing, trying to just make sure everything's going smoothly with it. And it's going to be a long day, but it's going to be worthwhile. I think it's going to be one of the funnest things we've ever done, D&D wise, all of us. And Bree and Will and Anna and Mark and Tim and John and Bill and Jeff and Adam and all the other people who are playing in the game. And all the people who are donating. I want to just say thank you right now. I'm so excited about this opportunity, and I know we'll do other things in the future. I think this will spurn a lot more community working together. Anna, say something about what you're doing Patreon-wise and what you're doing for your maps, please.
Oh, yeah. I have a Patreon at patreon.com/Anna B. Meyer, and it's concentrating on, working on my Greyhawk maps. So it helps me kind of devote roughly about half my time, 1/3 to half my time right now. It's Greyhawk mapping. So I'm working on updating my Flannies maps, the one I've done. I've released a new version. It's coming in more variants. So I'm doing a layered PSD version. There will be new handout maps. There will be Hipmona Land, a 572 map, and a bunch of other stuff coming out too. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if you see in the background, I took that cheesy paneling I had out in the back, and I put Anna's map behind the background of the area of Greyhawk City.
One more thing is saying that all of my Greyhawk work is Creative Commons, meaning it's a map you can download for free on my website, do whatever you want with it as long as you're not selling it, meaning you can make your own version, you can share it, post it, print it, and so on. So yeah, so it's free to use for all Greyhawk gamers.
And it's fantastic. And we've done shows previously with Anna that actually edited our campaign locations in, and it gives us so much more flavor to our campaign. And our symbols on the Order of Ulick are in the maps now, in the proper locations from Brian Blumklotz, and it just adds that extra pizzazz to our campaign. I love it.
Heraldry is fantastic. So I've added a lot of it through the years.
It's brilliant.
With his help. Yep.
Brilliant stuff. So, Mark, what do you got to say in closing here?
So essentially, all I will say is we really appreciate everybody watching tonight. We hope, obviously, you'll have the opportunity to join us on Saturday, on the 23rd, at one point or another. If you have the bandwidth to absorbed 16 hours of us effectively. That is fantastic. But we really appreciate all the patronage that everybody has given us tonight, and also hopefully on Saturday. So thank you so much.
And John and Tim. Tim, what do you think, man? What do you have to say? I mean, you are the man.
I'm looking forward to it, but also have that sort of that feeling that I have right before I do a really, really, really hard workout that might make me vomit. So that's sort of.
You retired now, Tim. You don't have to.
Yeah, he does it every day.
Well, I'm stupid enough to hike up the hills looking at the poppies with like 50 pounds of camera gear the other day, and everybody looked at me like I was some sort of idiot with boots and the whole shebang. So, yep.
So I'm hoping one day to get Tim, and I know this is far-fetched, but I'm hoping one day to get Tim to DM something that we broadcast, because I love, maybe go back to your City State of Invincible Overlord campaign, right?
And the folders right over here.
Yeah, I mean, that is.
I would love to see that.
Oh, and it's Tim is got his own uniqueness as a DM, like we all do. But I think it would be worthwhile to have do a broadcast where Tim actually runs something and I play something right in person. I think I play a little bit in Marks, but it's remotely, and I'd love to sit down and play in a game that Tim is DMing, because I have Dervilia and Dervilia Tadius and Kixana Wortley in your all from the Book of Archaic Names, the old Judges Guild book, right? That's where I think those names came from. So John, I love to see you back, man. Thanks. I know it's a little rough for you getting around, but I think this will be a great experience for us all. So what do you want to say to that?
Yes, I'm really looking forward to it. Did an awful lot of work to make this happen. It's really
well, thanks. Thank you. Just please, guys, have your spells pre-chosen when we get there. We want to be up and ready to go. I know I kind of picked for Anna, but she can move them around. And I want yours sent to me before like Wednesday, your spell list, because I want to make sure. Oh, there's one rule I have, because of the way this fight's going: no area effect hastes, no area effect slows. Okay, that's the one rule I have, just because it's too. Yeah, no. Haste or slow spells are out. Okay. Potions of speed are fine. Slow effects, single target from certain creatures are fine, but no area effect haste or slows. It's just going to throw a muck into everything with these levels. Okay, that's
How about just area effects hastes?
What's that?
How about just area effect haste?
No.
But I can cast haste on myself.
Yeah, I'll let you cast haste on yourself.
Well, that's fine. That's all I need.
Yeah, I'll let you do it on yourself, because I'll just dispel it, so it's fine. Yeah, it's
cheating already, Jeff. Absolutely.
You see, now here's the deal, and
this taking action on his part. So.
The over/under tonight for Saturday of the No Just No Head coming out. Mark, go for it. 15.
I'm going to say 8.
8. Okay, the over/under of the No Just No Head coming out is going to be 8. But he was on
8 times.
That's what Mark says. 8 times. The No Just No Head's going to have to come out on you, but we'll see. I mean, it only came out on you once so far. Once last Thursday.
Well, I don't think it's just because of Tim. I think that there are going to be others that are going to.
Like Alan. Yeah.
Okay, that doesn't count. I'm just talking about me.
Yeah.
No. Combined? No.
Combined 8? Okay.
Combined 8.
Maybe because they complain. I won't complain.
No, just but this fight. All right, so after we're done next Sunday, our Gabbin show is going to be titled "The Fight of All Fights." We're going to talk about what actually happened in our finale. So that's what we'll do next Sunday. So anyone who wants to come back on and participate in that, you're more than welcome. It'll be Gabbin number 38, and it'll be called "The Fight of All Fights," because I have a feeling this is going to be a very difficult encounter for me to do, and I'm really going to be stressed about getting it right. But I'm going to do everything I can to make it as good for everyone. And we'll talk about what actually transpired in the whole 16 hours. But we're going to specifically talk in that about what our finale was about. And
if I'm on Sunday, it all depends on if I'm mad at you from Saturday.
Well, I was going to say that depending on what the outcome is, we will see if maybe on Sunday Jay is getting beaten with a pillow.
Yeah, exactly. I may be by everyone, but
maybe I'll go over there to sit in the room with you on Sunday.
Yeah, we shall see. I have a feeling that the audience is going to help you guys out so much that you're not going to have to worry. I have a feeling that for charity, you guys are the heroes are going to come out on top. I just have that feeling, but then again, I could be wrong. So
especially poor Leuven, I'm going to really try to get some sympathy for that guy.
Yeah,
he's old.
Yeah, he is old. He's old. I have a guy with 7 con, so I don't want to hear it. So and the bad guy is about as bad as you can get in Greyhawk. And an Orb of the Dragon Kind is nothing to be trifled with. The powers on, especially this Orb of the Elder Worm, are serious. It will be something very very sinister and nasty. But we'll talk about that on the Sunday after, because the week after that, there will be no Thursday night game, sorry, because I will be in Florida with my wife on a business awards trip. So Mark's game will be that Monday, right after. And so Mark will have his game. I should be back in time for Sunday for a Gabbin that Sunday. But there will be no Thursday night game after the mega stream that week after, because I'll be away. So just wanted to let everyone know, sorry about that. But so anyone have anything in closing? We're looking at 3 minutes right off the dead on time at 9:30. So anything want to give a little more input? Anyone else with a question from the audience before we call it an evening? Thank you all. So Brian, thanks for such great mod work. I mean, I love what you're doing on there. I love Fiona Swift Thistle. You will see her again on Thursday night. Everyone, the NPC that you all made will make another appearance Thursday night, and people will be pleasantly surprised. Because remember, 2 characters have her bracelet on, right? They took her bracelet. So while Tim's character was hiding, fearing for his life, 2 people actually took her bracelet. So we'll see what happens with Fiona Swift Thistle.
All theories are good.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, well then, if we don't have anything else, I want to say one last time, thanks. We take suggestions from the audience. So if you come up with a great idea, like the Naz came up with an idea, he wants us to critique his D&D campaign and an adventure he wrote, and we'll do that in a future Gab, and that's a great idea, so we're going to run it. If the audience wants to come up with ideas for me, or doing something with Anna, or doing something with other channels, or doing something special, please bring it up to us. We're amenable to it. That's part of being a community. We all want to do stuff together. We all want to take your input, and we want to run with it. So, all right. Well, great night, guys. Yeah, great show. Great. Obviously, smashed all records tonight. Thank you all. Smashed fewer records tonight. And we smashed it Thursday, so we're on a roll here. So thank you. I will see everyone in 4 days. We'll see you for Thursday night's game. We'll finish Mushroom Blue by Carlos Lysing, and we'll see everyone, starting with Will, Return of the Bandit Kingdoms, 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Saturday. Marco's at noon, Eastern Daylight Time, Saturday, on the Lord Gazumba channel, okay, for the Shield Amp part. Bree goes 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Saturday, for the Greyhawk channel, and then back to me, 8 p.m. for the finale, Eastern Daylight Time, Saturday night. All right, guys. Thanks a lot, and I'm going to go to, should we, I don't think there's anyone on the raid. Now, Skagith is just chatting. He's not doing a D&D game. So we're gonna go to our end screen, and thanks all, and we'll see you all soon, and hopefully I click on the right button here. Talk to you soon.
Thanks.
See you.
But I'm still here.
Yeah, anyone who wants to hang and do a post talk, I'm on. So just let me know. We can sit. I'm going to do this in the final. It'll be only 3 to 4 minutes.
Yep. It was awesome. Yep.
Thanks, Anna. Thank you very much. They can still hear us, but that's okay.
That's part of the style of your show, so to speak. You can
That's
hear
true.
the cool side talk.
There's the comet, Tim.
Hey, the comment only passed over me because my stats were not commentizable.
Yes, it's true.
I mean, I always had a character that at least had 9 or less in some of their stats.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's not stats. It's not stats at all. So.
Yeah, if you mentioned it. Good times. Yeah, he's got several opportunities, several ways to get away and escape this horrible event that may befall him.
I thought you were gonna hit on Mario a bit. I thought you were talking about that.
Oh, I was just talking smack, really. We'll see. We'll see when the night comes. We'll see. I mean, he's chaotic good with some chaotic neutral tendencies. In fact, he was younger and wilder. When he was young. When his wisdom went from 10 to 11 when he matured. He got it good. So. He just thinks that, Abdul is a little bit too religious for him. But he's a good guy. He likes him.
Yeah, Mariel is revering Bakab, and I guess that's close to being an atheist you can come in the Flanese, I guess.
It's kind of magic, though.
Yeah.
I have a character who's a specialty priest of Bakab.
Oh.
Yes, you do, Pete. No, John. It's John.
John.
Pete and John.
He's very intellectual. So I'll send you the spell list, Jay. It's not that exciting. He doesn't have the uncontrolled spell book that's.
I know, but please.
Please what?
Please send it. I trust you, but I don't trust you.
Are you trying to basically have counters to everything I have on the list? Is that what
No. I tell you, there's a wrench in everything that you guys aren't prepared for.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yep. It's almost over.
All right. Well, I will send that.
Yeah, please. I want to get this headset off too. I'm sweating.
And I'll send you Leuven's spell list as well.
That's funny.
It's a very short one.
There we go.